Alright, we are done with the header part. In this part, we are going to work on this profile page. At first, let's make the component. So I'm going to close all of these components here. And inside this home, we are going to have another folder called profile. Let's have a component for that. Okay, now let's make the route inside this app.jsx. So in here, I'm going to make a route. Path is going to be the /profile/user ID. Okay, and we are going to get this user ID dynamically. Now let's have this element here. And inside this element, we need to add our component, which is profile. Okay, now let me open this user model here. As you can see, inside this array, we have added this profile route, and this is our user ID, which stands for this one. So we are going to get this dynamically. It should be to, not path. Okay, so if I click this one, as you can see, we have printed this profile route along with this user ID in here. So based on this ID, we are going to get the user's data. Alright, as you can see, if I open this profile, this model is not going to be closed. Now let's close that model. So again, we need to set an onClick in this link. And now let's get this set model here. Okay, and I'm going to add it here. It's gonna be false. Now let's open this home header. As you can see, we have this set model. So I'm going to pass this to this user model. Okay, let's try it again. Now if I open this profile, as you can see, this model will be closed automatically. Now let's style our profile. So in here, if I open this profile, as you can see, here I have printed the username, follower and followings, and in here we are going to have 3 tabs. Okay, and in the right side, as you can see, we have user profile, username, the bio of the user, and using this button, we can edit the profile. Alright, now let's work on that. I'm going to open this profile and just close all the components here. Okay, I'm going to change this div to be section. Now let's add a class name for this. I'm going to add size, flex, gap is going to be for rem, and position is going to be relative. Okay, now inside this section, we are going to have a div, and this div will be for our users activity. Okay, so this div will have a class name. Margin top is going to be non-rem, and flex is going to be 2. And inside this div, we are going to have another div. So using this div, we are going to separate these 2 parts, the left and the right side. So I'm going to give it a class name here, flex, item center, and gap is going to be 4. So inside here, at first we need to have a heading 2 for the name. So for now, I'm going to add my name here. So later on, we are going to get this name dynamically. Class name, text is going to be 3 XL. For bigger devices, text is going to be 5 XL. Font weight is going to be bold, and it should be capitalized. Okay, you can see here is the name. And also we need to have this followers and following. Now let's add them. We need to have paragraph here. This paragraph will have a class name of text gray, and it should have 500 opacity, text size is going to be extra small. For bigger devices, text is going to be small. Now inside this paragraph, we are going to have followers. For now, let's add 2. Okay, as you can see, here is the followers, and we need to have another paragraph here, and it should be following. Okay, as you can see, they are here. Okay, as you can see, this follower and following is down here. So to make that, we are going to add this end instead of center. Okay, now they are at the right place. As you can see, we have 3 buttons here, 3 tabs in here. So I'm going to add them inside an array. So I'm going to write here const activities. So each one of these tabs will be inside a separate object. So the first one is going to have a title of home. Okay, and for this we need to have a component. So I'm going to write here component, and the component name is going to be profile home. Okay, I will add this component later. And the second one is going to be list, and it should be profile list. And finally we need to have this about and profile about component. Okay, now let's add this component. So inside this profile folder, I'm going to add another folder called activities, and the first component is going to be profile home component. Now let's generate this functional component here. Okay, and now let's import them. Okay, alright, we have imported all the components. Now down here we need to map through this array. So after this div, I'm going to have another div with the class name of flex, item center, gap is going to be 5. We need to have margin top of 1 rem, border bottom, border color is going to be gray and 300, and margin bottom is going to be 3 rem. Okay, so we are going to use flex box to put them beside each other and add a little gap using this gap 5, and also we have a little margin top that separate our name with these tabs, and also we have added this gray border here. Okay, now inside here I'm going to map through this activities array. I'm going to get each item, and inside here I'm going to render a div. Okay, and this div will have a class name of padding y 0.5 rem. Okay, so inside here we are going to have a button and just print this item, the title in here. It should be item. Okay, now you can see we have all these tabs in here. Now let's print each component. So at first we need to have a useSet hook to hold our current activities component. I'm going to write here current, and by default the value is going to be activities with the 0 index. We are going to set the first object at the initial value of this useSet hook, which is this one. Okay, now I'm going to print this component down this div. So it should be current active dot component. Okay, now you can see here is our profile. Alright, as you can see under this tab we have this line. So whenever we click each tabs, this line will be moving. So now let's add that. So I'm going to change this double quote to be a template string, and in here we need to set a condition. So if item.title is equal to current active.title, then we are going to add a border bottom, and border color is going to be gray and 500. Otherwise it should be empty string. Okay, now as you can see, we have this border under this home tab because the title of this home tab is matching with the initial value of this useState hook. Now when I click each tabs, I want this border bottom to move. So to make that, we need to set an on click to this button. Okay, and we set the current active to be item. Okay, now if I click this one, as you can see, our component will be changed here and this border is moving. If I click this about, you can see our component will be changed here and this border is moving also. Alright guys, now let's work in this profile part. As you can see in the right side, we have this profile details. Now let's add this. So down here, down this div, I'm going to comment here user details. Okay, and it should be details. Now in here I'm going to have a div. This time we are going to add a class name of flex1. If I add here like profile details, now you can see that profile details will take this much space. So we added this flex1 in here, and inside the user activities div we have added this flex2. So it means that this div will get 2 times bigger space than our profile details part. Okay, so now following this, we are going to have a border left, and border color is going to be gray and 300. Okay, here is our border, and we need to add a little padding. So padding to rim, and z index is going to be 10. Alright, now in mobile version, if I inspect it, as you can see, our user details part is going to be dissipated, and instead we can open that using this button. Now let's implement it. So I'm going to decrease the size. Alright, so in mobile version, the position is going to be fixed, right is going to be 0, and bottom is going to be 0. We are going to add tab 0. As you can see, it's here. We need to add a weight for this one, so weight is going to be 18 rem, and as you can see, it doesn't have any background color, so BG is going to be white. As you can see, here is our profile, but if I increase the size of the screen, you can see it will be in all sizes, so we don't want that. And in bigger version, it should be back to position relative. So in here, I'm going to say from MD size above, I want the position to be relative. Okay, now you can see in bigger sizes, our profile details will be normal, but if I decrease the size, you can see it will be position fixed. But inside here, okay, as you can see, it will have a model also, so we can close that. Now let's add that model. I'm going to wrap this div with that reusable component model. Okay, we are going to import it. So I just import it quickly. Okay, now let's add the useState hook here. And for now, I'm going to set the initial value to be true, so we can see what's going on here. Okay, so I'm going to pass it. Alright, now you can see we have this model here. Now with the help of this white background color, we want this to be closed also. So now if I click this white background color, our details page will go to the right side. Okay, so now I'm going to change this to be a temporary string, so we can set a condition inside. Again, I'm going to set a condition here. If there is model, we are going to say translate x0, okay. Otherwise, we want to push this to translate x of 100 pixel, but for bigger devices, we are going to add translate x of 0, okay. Now let's check it. Now if I click this white background color, you can see our profile details will be gone, but we need to add a little transition here. So in here I'm going to say transition, and duration is going to be 500, okay. Now you can see it's working perfectly. Now if I open the detail model, as you can see we have this close icon here. So the first item in here is going to be this close icon. In here we need to have a div. It's going to be icon to close our model. I'm going to comment it down here. Now let's add a class name here. Padding bottom is going to be 4, and text is going to be right. So it is align items to be right, okay. Now inside here we are going to have a button, and the button will have a class name of inline block, and for bigger devices it should be hidden, okay. Now inside this button I'm going to add the icon, and this icon is coming from React icon. Now as you can see we have this icon here, but if I increase the page size, as you can see we don't have that icon anymore in bigger sizes, okay. Now let's set an onClick to this one also. So in here I'm going to add an onClick and set model is going to be false, okay. Now if I click this icon, you can see it will be moved to the right side. Alright, now let's add these details. At first we are going to add the avatar, the name and the bio of the user, and this button here, okay. So down this div we are going to have our profile details, okay. We are going to have a div here with the class name of sticky. Top is going to be 7, flex column, and justify is going to be between. So this position sticky is because in here if I scroll down, as you can see the profile details will stick in here and it's not moving, okay. Alright, now let's move on. So inside here I'm going to have an image. The image source is going to be this profile.jpg, and it's going to be profile image, okay. You can see this is our profile. I'm going to add a class name here with 3.5 frame. Height is going to be the same, 3.5 frame. Object cover, and we need to add a border radius rounded of full. Now you can see this is our profile, and down here we need to have a heading 2 for our name, okay. For this heading 2, for now I'm going to write this username. Later on we are going to get this from the database, okay. And down here we need to have a paragraph, and our paragraph text is going to be this one for now for our bio. So I'm going to add a class name for this heading 2. Padding Y is going to be 2, font bold, and it should be capitalized. For this paragraph we are going to change the text color to be gray and 500, and also we are going to target the first letter, okay. It should be first letter, and I'm going to make it uppercase, and the text size is going to be small. Okay, now you can see here is my name and here is the bio. Okay, now let's add this button here. So in here I'm going to add this button. The text is going to be edit profile, and we need to have a class name here. Text color is going to be green and 700, padding top 6, text size is going to be small, and width should be fit. Okay, you can see we have this button here, and finally as you can see we have some navs down here. So I'm going to import it from this data file again. As you can see I have some text inside this discover action, so I'm going to copy this from here, and down here, down this button, I'm going to add navs here. Okay, so we should have a div, and our div will have a class name of flex1, and we need to add flex property, flex align item center, and flex wrap should be wrap here, and also we need to add a gap of 3, padding top is going to be 8. Now inside here I'm going to map through this array. Let's import it. Dot map, we're going to get each item. Okay, and we just render a button here. Okay, now the text is going to be item, and we should have a key here, so key should be item also. Okay, now let's add a class name. Text size extra small, and text color should be black 1. So this black one is coming from tailwind.config.js. Now you can see here is our navs. Okay, so in here if I open this profile home, and if I add this profile home text for multiple times here. Alright guys, as you can see our right side is ready. Now let's move to the mobile version. In here as you can see we have this sidebar here. I can click this to be closed, and if I inspect it here, as you can see we have this button. So using this button we can open this sidebar. So now let's add this button. Okay, so down here, down this current user.component, we are going to have a button. So we are going to use this button to open the sidebar. Okay, let's add this button, and the button text is going to be this icon. Now let's import this icon. It's coming from React icons again. Okay, and this time it should be IO and 5. Okay, alright guys, now I'm going to add false in here to close the model. Okay, as you can see here is our icon. We need to set a class name for this icon. I'm going to give it a class name. So position is going to be fixed, top hrem, right should be 0, width is going to be 2 rem, and height should be the same, 2 rem. We need to give it a background color of black, and text should be white. Okay, following that we need to add grade to bring this icon in the middle. As you can see this icon is not in the middle, so to bring it in the middle we are going to use grade. Okay, and place item center, but for devices above MD it should be hidden. Okay, Now you can see here is our icon. I just simply add an on click here. The on click is going to be set model to be true. Okay, now let's check it. So if I click this button here, as you can see here is our sidebar. I can close this sidebar using this button or using this white background color. Alright,